All right, and welcome to the Bold Strong podcast. I am Craig Nadeau, and I'm here today with a good friend, Brad Field. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me back. Awesome.
Yeah, you're like an alumni. Soon I'll call you a temporary guest host.
Perfect. I look forward to it. When do I get a paycheck?
You can have half of mine.
Which is nothing.
It's zero. It is zero. It's just all the recognition I get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how you been doing?
You know what? Good. Yeah, it's
good.
We were talking off air there for a couple of seconds about the campaign and so forth.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I'm in a little bit of a cruise mode right now. Little unknown fact is I also sold during the campaign for last year. I also sold my operations both in Canada and the U.S.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm currently in between gigs, and but it's exciting. I've 35 years straight. Of hard work and long days, and so I'm a little bit just kind of looking into what's next in my adventure in my life, and I'm not retiring.
You gonna stay in Calgary?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love to travel, but the kids are here. We love Calgary, grew up in Calgary, of course, and so we're not going anywhere. So super excited about what's next. So 2022 for me is going to be kind of a little bit of a find myself and see what I'm going to do, what I'm going to pivot towards. So it's exciting.
Pivot, good. Well, and as a quick recap, you ran as mayor in the, I guess it's 2022 election. It was 2022 or is it 21 that it ended?
Yeah, exactly.
So 2021 and Jody Gondek won that election along with essentially a brand new city council. Which is
wholesale change for the most part.
So pretty neat. So behind the curtain, tell us. We're all interested what it looks like, and I'm still shocked that anyone ever runs to be a politician because the level of scrutiny. Yeah.
Well, I'll start by saying, no bitterness, no resentment towards. I mean, I learned a lot. It was, and again, when you haven't done it before, you're naive. Right. Yeah. And so learned a lot, met a lot of really good people, made some good friends. So that's pretty cool. Behind the scenes, it's hard work. Oh, my Lord. It is 24/7. If you're not physically doing something, you're mentally. And when you think you're sleeping, you're really not.
Wow.
And so it is, again, I said during the campaign when we spoke that newfound respect for anybody who runs for public office because it's hard work.
Right.
It's. I learned a lot about the media. I learned a lot about fellow candidates and so forth and competitors, and so that was interesting.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. All that kind of stuff. But and I've said I think most people get into public office or want to go into public office for the right reasons. Yeah. Their values might be different than mine.
Sure.
And I learned a lot about the people.
Right.
The three councillors that ran, and of course Jody ended up winning the election. And so it was interesting. Debates were, I didn't do high school debate or anything like that, so that was new to me. So it took a little bit to get used to what that was about.
Right.
It was exciting. I lost a ton of weight.
Oh, really?
I lost, I think, close to 20 pounds in 65 days because it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
Right? Like just even Cheryl, my wife, had mentioned to you, oh, my Lord, you're nothing, right? Your ass disappeared.
Isn't that crazy?
It's just wow. So I put a little bit of weight back on, thankfully.
Yeah.
And, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
And it's brain damage, right? Because it's
got to be on.
You got to
on
be
point all the time.
So even at the end of the day, when you put your head down for a little bit of sleep, the gears are turning nonstop, and you wake up thinking about it. You have nightmares about it. Everything.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's interesting, and and I met with a few people, and we recorded some podcasts with others, and I think what was interesting that came out of it was that there wasn't like, 3 of the 5 people or whatever were just like, wow, what is coming out of your mouth? Like everyone genuinely wanted to see Calgary to be a better place. They had best intentions. And you're right. Yeah, they have different ideas about how to get there, possibly. And then that's what elections are for. That's why we have democracies. And so, but there wasn't anyone and I hate, it's the dark side of politics as always. Everyone feels like they have to tear everyone down to build up someone else, they have to tear, and it doesn't make sense.
Well, and I found that, for the most part, I think the campaign was clean. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of mudslinging. There were a couple incidents where I thought, whether it was during a debate or something like that,
sure.
That was a little inappropriate. It didn't have to go there, whoever did say or whatever. And I thought, that was uncalled for. But very little of that, I felt. So I felt good, one, about our campaign. We never went down that path. And I think for the most part, most of the top contenders stuck that way too. And we had early on discussions, when I would interact with the top three,
right?
I say, let's keep it clean, right? There's no need to talk about personal, family, let's keep it professional. And I think everybody kept to that, right? Yeah. So it was good. I like that. That was surprising, I thought. Seeing how federal and provincial politics, I thought, is municipal going to be the same way? I hope not, and I was pleasantly surprised.
That's great.
Yeah, it was really good that way.
Yeah. I thought, it was an interesting kind of a finale. It seemed just like, ta-da, and it was it. Yeah. Like it didn't have all right, it's this new fanfare, we're going to shoot off pyrotechnics for this or anything. It was pretty anticlimactic at the end. And other than there was that kind of the fiasco with the one councillor who had legal charges from, I don't even know why even bother thinking about it. I don't even know what happened with it. It just faded too. And there's a little bit of drama around the last 30 days and then the first 60 days of Jody's mayorship and so forth. So there's a little drama there, but I think it's actually flattened out now. And it seems pretty even keel. I still have some close contacts on council now, and so I stay in touch. And I think it sounds like we've steadied the course a little bit, and there's definitely not as much dysfunction as what we saw in the last city council. So I see that. That's good.
Yeah, the first 60 days was dramatic, and a lot of the public don't know about some of the drama that went on in the first 60 days, but that's all gone now too, I think, for the most part. Yeah, so I see it as being a good thing.
It was interesting when the Flames pulled out of the, and I guess, I think if I was them, I would have too, if I had seen escalating costs that didn't have any, there was no end zone at all. Right. Of course you're going to pull out.
Yeah,
but
it was interesting because I people reached out to me, right? What's your thoughts, Brad? Why all of a sudden are we torpedoing the deal again? Why are we killing the deal? And I'm like, in the initial, because it was right around Christmas, I think, when that news came out. And I thought, okay,
it was early.
It was really early on, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so what is this political posturing? Is this them torpedoing the deal so they can save it, so it's their deal? Right, and I thought, okay, but then it went away completely altogether, and I was like, okay, this is real, right? I thought maybe it was political posturing, but then it became real very quickly. So it's good they're back at the table, and they've got some good people on the committee. So super excited about some of the people that are working on it. So let's hope this thing gets built in the city.
It has to. How can it not?
It has to, but it doesn't necessarily have to be built in the city of Calgary. There's lots of outlying areas that would be super interested in just outside city limits that would take that on very quickly. So I'm hoping for the good of Calgary, good of the East Village, Victoria Park area, that it gets built there.
I want it over here in the west.
Easy access, right?
Much better for me.
Exactly. So I still hold a great amount of hope that it'll get built in the city of Calgary. I hope so.
I remember when they said, hey, we're going to develop a committee, and I was like, Brad better be on that committee. Like, seriously, you guys.
I did not get the phone call.
Dang.
It's funny because, post-election, I reached out to all three of the candidates, councillor candidates, including Jody, and hey, congratulations. I'm here. And so we had meaningful dialogue, message each other and so forth. I'm still available, and not that I'm looking for a job, and I'm not that, but I'm here for the good of Calgary, and if they called, I would answer the phone. But at this point, they're doing their thing, and good on them. They're doing. Let's get it built, and
it'll get built. Oh, yeah. Like there's no way it won't. Like imagine 4 years from now. If it's not getting built, the egg on the face situation will be really bad. Like it has to get dealt with.
I hope we see shovels in the ground this year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're primed for it last year. So really, if we can just get to the goal line of everybody agreeing,
Yeah.
dollar amount, so on and so forth. Let's get shovels in the ground and start
Yeah.
the process. Because I think once we get shovels in the ground, it'll be less dramatic and less controversy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I guess in my personal thought, like I wasn't certainly involved in it deeply, but I guess I just saw like, okay, you've got a contract, you got a deal, and then you just see these costs. And you actually remember you and I talked about that ridiculous bike rack that you
Right.
had to put in
Yeah.
before into your building. And it's like, that's what it was. It was just environmental, and everything else that had to get done.
Well, and I think that's
Tough.
That's the challenge with bureaucracy in general, or people that don't have skin in the game, their own
Yeah.
skin in the game, is that they just think that business, private sector, will just keep writing the check
Sure.
because, God forbid, the Flames want this as bad as the city does. Well, they can make the choice not to,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it was a calculated error that they made, that the Flames would just keep writing checks.
Right. Yeah.
And Flames ownership, they have to look at their own pocketbooks too, and answer their own shareholders.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's a risk they made that didn't pay off.
It could have been some, I don't know, like how many of those have we built recently in Calgary? 0. So, it could have been some naiveness to the process of, hey, we're going to sign this document and that's it.
Right.
But that's not it.
Yeah.
And
egos get in the way too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, and so I look at, just another $8 million, because I think that was the last figure.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's coming from a bureaucrat, just $8 million.
You have a leaky tap.
Yeah, just $8 million. Who says that, right? Like, that's what's frustrating, is $8 million is a lot of money.
Yeah. But I wish I knew the exact number, because leading into this, but I think that the downtown library cost a lot, like $500 million.
Yeah, who knows?
Like I was doing the square footage per square foot cost. Outrageous.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think it's almost, I don't know. I may be talking out of school, but I think it was more expensive than what they're suggesting for the new entertainment center.
I still have issues with what we pay as taxpayers for infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I always have. And long before I committed to running for mayor and so forth, I've always looked at the math. I'm going, whether it's an overpass on Deerfoot Trail or it's a new building, and I'm just like, it's like we're playing full retail plus, right? And so when you talk about square footage costs, and, I think we spent $35 million on the old city hall renovation.
Yeah.
We didn't build a new building. We renovated an existing building, and
I think that was the painting.
Well, and that's my point. It's like, and then the Contemporary Art Museum, the old Science Center at the end of 6th Avenue here. Right?
Yeah.
And that was, again, don't quote me on that. I think it was close to 25, 30
It was
million
a
for that.
big ticket.
And I've been in it post renovation. I'm like, other than some artwork and some new plumbing and electrical, it looks pretty much the same. And I'm going, we could have tore that building down and built a Taj Mahal for 25, 30 minutes. That's the kind of questions that I have always asked. I really question some of the stuff where we spend money and how much we spend.
Well, and two, whether you love it or hate it, we're going to drop a quarter billion on renovating downtown office towers into residential.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who's doing the economics on that, but.
Yeah, there is some math where it does make sense. I'm not saying I know the math, so I won't even speak to the details.
Probably the math makes sense. I don't know if the sociology behind it necessarily works.
The other concern I have is without the arena or the entertainment district. It's not just the arena, but the whole entertainment district. That, to me, says that puts back the downtown revitalization significantly years-wise, right?
Yeah.
Especially Vic Park, right? Like, if nothing's going to be built there, what happens to all those condos? What happens, because a lot of people bought in that area because of the future of the entertainment district.
Yeah.
Well, if that doesn't get built, what happens to Vic Park in East Village?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or if it gets built in a different location, because it could be in West Village. That's the other option.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that still sits on my mind, wondering, what's next for Calgary? How do we, because we're all talking about this 10-year revitalization of downtown. Without the entertainment district, is it now 15 years? I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. I was maybe preaching. I don't think anyone really grabbed it and ran with it too much, but I thought, what's your plan? Show me the 10, 20-year mission statement. Give me your vision and mission statement like you would a business. And Like I still don't know exactly what it is for Calgary. It's
Well, and I think that's whether federal, provincial, or municipal. That's the challenge with government in general. Is far too often, I think we get wrapped up in the next election cycle. Instead of building a plan for 20 years, we talk about the next 4 years because it makes me look good so I can get reelected and keep my job.
Yeah. Vegas is Vegas because the first couple guys there saw 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
So we need to be thinking that way with Calgary.
And that's the challenge, is that with different values from incoming mayors or incoming council, you know, if I created that 40-year vision, who's to say after I move on that it gets carried on? That's the challenge.
Wipe it out.
Wipe it out and say, Brad doesn't know what he was doing, so we're going to start. And so that's the ever-going challenge, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's tough.
It is.
But, maybe, I don't know. That's social theory. How do you get something signed on that says this is the long-term vision of something? And then, because every new person's going to come in and change that, possibly.
Yeah, create their own vision.
Yeah. I think you are kind of hinting at possibly the Siksika Nations and looking at, because they're kind of quietly, not so quietly, talking about putting up some kind of entertainment district. They should just do it anyways.
Well, Sutina is...
That's what I meant,
Sutina. Sutina
Yeah.
is very progressive. And you look at the development they have, with the new Costco out there. That's the first Costco on Indigenous lands in North America. Yep. So, and they're I saw there's a bank being built on that same, so
they're well into the ground.
Well into the ground.
Yeah.
I drive by it almost every day. And so I'm like super excited to see that, not only for them, but for the surrounding residents of West Calgary. There's talk of NASCAR coming to Calgary. Well, that's not being built in city limits. Neither do we build, outside city limits. I would say, Flames ownership is smart enough that if not a plan B, a plan C. So I'm sure they're already lined up in their mind if they can't do a deal in the city of Calgary. What's next? Because they know they're not going anywhere. I don't think the NHL would allow them to leave Calgary. It's a great market. So to your point earlier, they're not going anywhere. But does that mean that the arena has to be in the city of Calgary? No, it does not. Right?
That would have some really significant impacts on transportation.
Sure it would.
Because it's part of why they're downtown. It's that you can get there on the train.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So
that'd be neat. I still think that they should just build something down there by the Costco. Just do it. I don't know if you've been into the sports complex they have.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Off the charts.
I bet most people in unless you play basketball or volleyball or something, you wouldn't have seen it. But I've been saying, Edmonton has the Seville Center just in the south part of by the university. It's like Calgary doesn't have that. Suddenly we do. And that's it. But I bet most people don't know about it. Yeah.
So I grew up in South Calgary playing hockey. And before this current recreation center they had one. It's just north of where the existing one is.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still there, if they've torn it down or whatever, but back in the day, and I'm talking, let's say the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, it was world class.
Wow.
Right? They had an arena that sat 2,500. They had 2 gymnasiums. It was a full-on rec center. So, the odd game that we would get scheduled, playing minor hockey, and we're playing out at Sutina, we're like, oh my God, we're playing the pros, right? We're playing in a pro arena because that's how big it was. Wow. And then over the years, it, like any infrastructure, it deteriorated and so forth. But the new recreation center is off the charts. It's fantastic.
And I guess the cool thing is that they have the ability, talking about long-term planning, they can do that.
Yeah.
So easier than probably a rotating city council can do it. So
exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, can you imagine having a NASCAR leg come to Calgary? What that would bring?
That'd be amazing.
Well,
do you remember when Edmonton had IndyCar? They had some IndyCar races at the municipal airport there. Yeah. Those were great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think the airport engineering is very complicated, and I think the concrete was just failing.
Yeah.
So you can't have...
that doesn't work out so when the cars are only a half inch off the ground, that doesn't work out so well.
But that would be amazing if they did something like that.
Yeah. Wow. Very much so.
Yeah.
super excited.
Big opportunity down there.
I think there's big opportunity for Calgary, and I've said that for years. I see that as a reset, right? And I wanted to be a part of the reset and a part of leadership. That didn't happen, but that doesn't change my passion for the city of Calgary and the great opportunity that we have to reinvent ourselves and pick a different path.
Right.
So
I heard they're looking for a new provincial premier.
Not.
I wouldn't want that job.
It's funny because it came up in discussion even while I was still running before the actual municipal election happened. It was kind of flown by me, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'm still running for mayor. Yeah. So So then post-election, a friend of mine that worked with me on the campaign said, just to give you insight, here's the link to...
You have dangerous friends.
Yeah. Here's the link to the question period up in the ledge, right? And I'm like, sure. And he just cut out 20 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, never am I going to be a part of that gong show.
No.
Right. Like it was...
Terrible.
And I've said this again for years. I look at question period in Ottawa and question period here in Edmonton. And I look and I go, you know what? Taxpayers shouldn't have to pay for that crap.
No.
Because it's not even... I don't know what comes out of it. It's posturing. It's entertainment at best. Yeah. Like it's name calling. It's just so unprofessional. And I can't believe the millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that taxpayers pay for those question periods to happen. And it's just a mudslinging contest. Yeah. It's a joke.
And the other thing it's always kind of got me is like, who would want that job?
Yeah.
Like why, what sane person would put themselves in that spot?
Right.
Like, I don't get it. And so anytime when, what's his name? Who's running for from Fort Mac? I forget his name now.
Oh.
What's his name? That guy.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Brian Jean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you make me nervous that you want that job so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Well, you see what's going on. Why do you want the job?
Yeah. And I think that's the challenge with... politicians in general, or and myself. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, and if you're doing it for the right reasons, I applaud you. If you're 100%. Doing it for a personal agenda or entertainment factor, or building public profile, like what is the reason? And I want people to lead this country that are genuine. And they're there for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to pad their resume, not to pad their pocketbook. Yeah. But that's why it's a thankless job too, because you're not going to get paid a whole lot. You're under public scrutiny 24/7. It's kind of a shitty place to be. Yeah. So you better be there for the right reasons. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And if you're not, then it's going to wear thin real quick. Yeah.
And this was like, whether someone loves or hates Kenny, it doesn't matter. The timing's terrible. Like you're not going to win. Like you just bad spot.
It'll be interesting to see where this goes. Provincially. And who ends up in the driver's seat. I just want people that are passionate Albertans and that look after Alberta interests. Yeah. Right. And I keep on going back to that collaboration centrist. Like make sure that whoever's in that position, municipal, federal, provincial, doesn't matter, is open to listening to all different points of view. Yeah. Right. And I think that's what we're lacking right now. You either have to be polar left, polar right, and there's no room in the middle. Right. Yeah. And I look back to, and again, no resentment or anything. I believe I was the truest centrist in the municipal election. Yeah. We had others posing as centrists, but I was really the only person I felt in the top 3, 4, 5 candidates that was actually in the middle.
I always thought as we got through that, and I feel like I had an opinion worth listening to anyways, because I talked to a lot of the people. I thought, look, if we're going to have someone who's running the business meeting, that's going to be Brad.
Right.
So that would have been the right choice.
Right.
So, but whatever. What was interesting that came out of it from the political scientist in us is, like, you start to, move the chess pieces around, and like, if Jody got all these votes, but then it looked like anyways that there was a big vote splitting, but then if you added up all the other votes, Jody still did really well. So you can't take it away from her, but it would have been interesting if it was, like this will never happen in a democracy, but you limit it to 2 people. Like it never happened. No, but
because now you're excluding people.
Yeah.
Right. And there was even comments made because we had, at the top end, we had 29 candidates. Now, some of them fell off, but at 29 candidates. And then, of course, there was, people making comments, well, we should make it a higher entry fee, right? Like instead of $500, it should be $10,000. That way you only get serious candidates. But the problem with that, now you're excluding people that can't afford,
right?
And that's not fair either, right? So we are what we are. It's a democracy. Yeah. Everybody should be able to run for public office. Yeah. But it was, the whole, I don't want to say vote splitting, but the way the vote broke out, it became very clear, towards the end of summer that they had created successfully a two-person race, Gondak and Farkas. Yeah. And it really excluded everybody else. The media focused generally just on those two. Yeah.
Known entities.
Known entities. They had profile, obviously. So it became very clear, and they did it well. And I applaud the strategic part of Jody's campaign to make it that race, but it wasn't accurate. But once, perception is reality. Yeah. And so once the media glommed onto that and said, "Oh, it's a two-person race," nothing else mattered. Yeah. Right? Like,
do you think that the like when they did polling, like I see polling, and then some people say it's incredibly accurate, and then other people are, they can show you the stats, and it's like, oh, it was way off, and or it was being manipulated, or what do you think on the stats? Because you would have had to deal with those, right?
Sure. Yeah, and we let's just say this: the polls were. Again, perception is reality. They were accurate as the media wanted to be accurate. And the average voting person, we all trust media. We turn on the 6 o'clock news, and what they put out there, 99% of the time, we assume is accurate. Not necessarily so. Right. But if you hear it enough, it becomes reality. Yeah. Right. And I think that's what happened. And again, my hat's off to the polls that were created that atmosphere of a two-person.
Yeah, it's sad that it becomes a tool rather than a representation of the reality.
Right, exactly. So that's unfortunate, but again, that's the system we've built. Yeah. It is what it is. I don't see it changing. No. And which is unfortunate because, and again, not about me, but in any election, do we necessarily get the right person for the job? Yeah. Or do we get the person that put on the best dog and pony show? Yeah. I'm not sure.
I've often wondered if, and I know this happens in some voting environments where you vote for your top two or your top three, or you rank your top 2 or 3. Right. That gives a very different outlook at, once it's all over. Right. Because then it pulls out the I hate sort of situation. I'm voting here because I hate this,
Well, and that's a lot of what I heard, even with supporters of me, whether I was door knocking or in meetings, and it was, I'm going to vote for this person because I hate the other person. Right, it wasn't a vote of support; it was a vote against. Right. And so when that's happening, I had numerous conversations where, Brad, you are by far the best person for the position. You're the best leader we have, but I can't support you. I'm like, okay, why? And they said, well, because I hate this person so much, I'm going to vote this one to keep him or her out of office. Right. And I'm like, did you hear what you just said? Yeah. Like, that's what it was kind of shocking to me, naive, me being my first round into this, naive. That I'm like, so you're looking at the person that you believe is the best person for the job, but you can't stand the other person so bad, you're going to have to vote. It was strategic, right? Yeah. And so, again, no bitterness. I learned a ton, but it was interesting to me to see how the dynamics worked out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think when all the dust settles, does, in particular, the mayor in a city, do you think the mayor has such a significant impact that the flavor is completely different in a city? Or is it more shades? Or I'm not saying Jody's good or bad at this point. She hasn't been around long enough to say good or bad, but, she'll probably do great. Yeah. But, if it had been you or Farkas or someone else, would the feel of the city be it's a quantum different feel?
I think so, because it comes down to tone. Okay. Or leadership, right? What path are we going to take? And so again, and to your point, nothing against Jody. Yeah. So it's not wrong or right; it's just different. Yeah. So for me, if I was elected mayor, would the business community take a different tone in the city of Calgary?
Yeah,
Would
I
we
think so.
be building more things right now? Would we be opening more businesses? Maybe. I think so, but we'll see. She's taking a different approach.
Yeah.
That's okay too, just different. So yeah, I think the leadership side for sure sets the tone, and then the pathway that we choose sets the tone as well. So I would obviously be geared way more to the economy, supporting small business, getting the Flames on board to build a new arena. I would be really hardcore that way, giving people in the city of Calgary the confidence that they can choose Calgary to spend the rest of their life here and raise their kids, and hopefully their kids will stay. That would be one of my focuses. She's taken a different path, and that's all right too.
And honestly, people voted for her, and they knew what she was about, and that's what you get, and you should be happy with that.
Yeah.
So
and
we're
so
good.
and so respect the election, respect the vote. And if Jody calls and says, "Hey, I need help on a file," I'm there because I'm a Calgarian. I think you would be the same person.
100%.
Yeah. Hey, Craig, we need some help in your expertise. You'd be there. I think the vast majority of Calgarians want to help and want to contribute to the success of Calgary. And that doesn't change for me. Just because I'm not the mayor doesn't change my passion for Calgary.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this new council does too. So far, not much is. Used to hear all the time in the news there'd be a few standouts that would be really shaking the news up all the time. But
I'll tell you one that is a standout, and keep an eye on her, Sonia Sharp.
Is that right?
Yeah, she was a 20-year, plus or minus 20-year employee with the city of Calgary.
Oh, okay.
And she was one of those rock star employees that was pro-business. She's in Ward 1, and she won. And she is, as far as I'm concerned, she's that next generation of leadership for the city of Calgary. Keep an eye on her. She's a rock star. Yeah, she'll do well for Calgary.
Yeah. That'd be good. It's good. I guess one thing we take out of this last election is that, and you saw it, was Farkas and Gondek had the big name, so it was hard to take down the neon from that. Really.
For sure.
So.
And again, what I also learned through the process is generally the voting public, unless you're reading and following it on a daily basis, which is about 2 or 3% of political wonks that follow this stuff every day. 97, 98% of people don't follow it, and literally they're making the decision as they're walking into the into the booth, right? And so name recognition is a big deal.
Yeah.
Unequivocally, it's probably the lion's share of it. And then, I can't knock on enough doors, right? Because everybody I interacted with, I won them over.
Right.
Hands down, I did really well that way. And even my team said, if you could actually meet everybody in the city of Calgary in person, you'd win hands down. Just not enough time in the day, right? It's not possible. Name recognition is a big deal, and it's probably the one most prevalent out of everything. Because a lot of people just look for, hey, who do I recognize in my ward, or who do I recognize for the mayor? Yeah.
It's I guess Calgary should say thanks, Brad, for making that effort, right?
Well,
it means something, though, right?
It does, and I'll say this, Craig, is that was some of the most heartwarming moments on the campaign trail. Even towards the end, when I right up until 8 o'clock, or until the first results were in, I was still thinking, that hey, I could be this dark horse that comes out of it. In fact, I'll be quite frank, I saw it because of the happenings in the last 2 or 3 weeks with Jeremy Farkas, I think was his demise. And honestly, going into the election night, I said it's either Jody or Brad Field, dark horse. That surprises everybody. I kind of figured it was going to be Jody or me, the dark horse. And it's funny, in basically 45 minutes from 8 o'clock until 8:45, it was a big deal for me personally, because I went from being a business operator in the city of Calgary in the United States to mayoral candidate to possibly mayor. And then in 45 minutes, I was nothing, because I had sold my companies.
Unemployed bum.
Exactly. I was no longer a candidate. I was no longer going to be the mayor.
Wow.
And I had no businesses. And so in 45 minutes, me personally had a huge impact on me life-wise, right? Because I went from having an identity as a business operator, having an identity as a candidate, having an identity as potentially a mayor to nothing.
That's
in
the 0 to
minutes.
60 and back to zero right now.
So it was kind of like, wow. And, you see the first results and I'm going, okay, I'm not going to be mayor. And I knew right then it was going to be Jody for sure. Yeah, I knew that right off the bat. So yeah,
that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There were so many people that ran, so it's obviously a big interest in it.
Yeah, it was interesting because as I crossed paths with all the candidates in different events and debates and so forth, a lot of good, interesting people, right? Good Calgarians. And then there was a couple that were like, okay, you're here for all the wrong reasons. You know what? You should just pack up your
self-promotion.
Yeah, self-promotion.
Mostly,
just go away, please. Do us all a favor and go away. And that may be harsh, but that's how I personally felt, is that you're not here for the right reasons.
No. And it didn't do any favors to anything. It didn't mean anything at the end.
Exactly. So I look back very fondly on the campaign. You know, I dedicated almost 4 years of my life to it.
Yeah.
And to your question earlier about the thank you, that was some of the most heartwarming moments where people would say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for throwing your hat in the ring. Thanks for, and that meant a lot to me. It really did, because, win or lose, at that point, I didn't know whether I was going to be there or not.
Yeah.
It just felt good that, you were appreciated. And I didn't realize how much people truly looked at this as hard dedication, commitment. I looked at it as hard work, but I didn't really recognize in people that they thought it was too.
Yeah.
Right? They truly appreciated how much work there was involved in this.
And think too, if the election had been at the far other end of the spectrum and only Jody was running, then we know what Calgary thinks. Right. It's like, we're good.
Yeah.
But this is the message we're sending, is like, we're not good.
Yeah.
We got something to deal with, and whether or not, like Jody may not represent every single person that didn't vote for her, of course, but you take a message from it and say, hey, we gotta think about some of this stuff. We've not dealt with it.
Yeah, well, and you think about it, and I don't know what the percentage was. I mean, she got 45%.
Yeah, I think it was
vote.
large.
Maybe it was big, right? Yeah. But you think about it, even at say 50%, that means 50% of the people don't support you or didn't support you too, right? So she's, anybody who wins still has an uphill battle and still has to work with a lot of people that don't necessarily believe in what he or she is doing for the city, right? So, but I look at my results at the end, and I think I was 19,000 or whatever the votes were. But, I look and I go, okay, so inner circle wise, I can count on 1,000 people. Yeah. Let's say my inner circle, my family or my friends created 1,000 votes. That's 18 or 19,000 people.
Well, and then all of my friends, so that's about 10,000.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you think of yourself.
When you think of it, though, you could have filled up the Saddle Dome with those people.
That supported or took what I had to say as good. And so, I'm very proud of my team. That got me there. I'm very proud of myself, my family that supported me. And, I said this last time we did this, my close friends were like shaking their head like, what the F are you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Wasn't it your close friends who egged you into it?
Well, they supported me, just so we're clear. They supported me, but they shook their head, right? They're just like, you're nuts, man. Yeah. Like, we support you. We'll write a check. We'll push you out to our network and so forth. But you're crazy. You're absolutely off your rocker. And I'm like, maybe I am, but I wanted to do it, and I can check that box. I'm done. Right. Yeah. Like and I get asked all the time, are you going to run in 2025? No, I'm not. Are you running provincially? No, I'm not. Like, I'm done. And I'm happy with it. I'm not bitter. I just, I took my best shot, and people didn't support me enough to put me in the chair, and that's fine. Yeah. And so I go back, and I'm going to, start some more businesses and get busy again, and enjoy life.
At some levels, I guess, you may find solace in thinking there's probably a large group of people that had no idea who you were. Right. Right. And you just couldn't touch them. Like, you couldn't reach out to them. Yeah. So, no question. If you had, maybe it would have been, would have been a much higher number possibly. So,
for sure. And there's lots of things, not just around name recognition. I mean, the federal election interrupted campaigning, right? Like, that was a distraction. So, How much it affected, I don't know, but for sure it affected it. That was 6 weeks we lost of effective campaigning, right? But everybody lost that too. Yeah. So as much as I didn't win, well, Jody and Farkas, they all lost. Every took 6 weeks of hits from the federal. So there's lots of things that affected, but I did my stint in politics, and I'm proud I did it, and then now I'm moving on, and that's okay too. So
maybe you want Trudeau's job now.
I don't think so. Yeah, people make those comments, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Nope.
No,
that would be
Well, now we've got this new, it sounds like a new alliance between the NDP and the Liberals. And again, people ask me all the time, even Cheryl, my wife, asked me, so, did you see the news? And I honestly don't watch the news anymore. Yeah. I maybe catch the weather, traffic reports, or if there's a particular story. But once you're behind the curtain a little bit, like once you've done it and you've got a little bit more exposure than the average person, what I don't want to do is get caught up in watching municipal politics and say, well, I would have done that differently. Mm-hmm. I don't know why she's doing that. Like that's my goal is to support Calgary. Watching the news or, signing on to council chambers, video link, I have no interest in that because that's not my role anymore.
Yeah,
right?
We need to get you on some boards or something. It would have been cool if you were on the board to get the new entertainment thing going. That would have been great. You got the time. You got the moxie, whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah. But for me, it's funny because, Cheryl will say to me, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? And it could be anything in the news. I'm like, no idea. And she goes, Brad, it's huge news. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm busy with what I'm doing and, but I just don't have time for the news anymore because it puts me in a different headspace. Not a negative headspace. It just puts me in a space that I don't really have the time for.
You know what? Like, the reality is, you and I look back to when we were kids delivering newspapers, and that was the news.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's almost infinite opinions.
Right.
And so what's right anymore? And I'm sure if we were in Russia, you could probably find several million people that think whatever's going on over there is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But then it's like, wow, like how twisted. But then, I don't know, like the media is so.
Well, it's and again, I'm not passing judgment on the media, but the definition of media is skewed now because anybody who has a camera and some equipment can be media. Yeah. And so I often, I'm not a social media person, but the odd time that someone sends me a link or something, like, oh, watch this video, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's clearly dubbed, it's clearly fake. Yeah. It's coming from some XYZ news media who I've never heard of, but people are buying what they're selling.
Totally.
And so, but on the same token, there's been lots of mistrust with mainstream media too as well. So there's this huge cloud over media in general that just doesn't serve society very well, right? No. Because it takes you down rabbit holes. And as you know, with social media, once you go down that rabbit hole, it keeps feeding you the same stuff, right? Yep. And what is it? The Social Network, the movie, that documentary. Movie. Yeah. And I'm just like, when I watched that, I was like awestruck, right? Yeah. And so forth. And it's, and again, I don't follow it close, but like that whole smartphone thing that it's listening. Well, let me tell you, as little work as I do on the internet and so forth, I can be talking about an item that I want to buy. Yeah. And for the next week, every time I click on Google, guess what pops up? Yeah. And so there's some truth to it, right? And I'm no conspiracy person, but it's just the whole media thing it's tough right now in general population. And I think, and people often say, oh, it's the uneducated that buy it. And I'm going, no, that's not true, because I sit across the table from really smart people, highly educated, and they've gone down that rabbit hole, right? And so it has no boundaries, right? It really doesn't. Anybody can get sucked into bad and good media coverage. Yeah.
So our kids are getting it hard. Yeah. Like I look at my kids and it's like, wow. Yeah. Like they don't really teach. There's not much critical thinking teaching going on. So everything that they hear, it's got to be right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little scary.
And that's why I just stay off, social media. I don't even watch the news anymore, really, other than the weather report or, something simple. And, so I, for me, I've got better things to do right now. And so it's all good.
You going to head south at all? What are you going to do for the summer?
It's funny. Thanks for asking. So January 1st, I did what I call a walkabout. I drive. I love driving. I can drive for hours a day, like endlessly. And so I talked to Cheryl, and she said, "Well, are you going to take some time off?" And I went to work the next day after the election. I woke up and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm going to work." Right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I didn't win. So let's get busy and get back at it.
Yeah.
And so she kept on saying, well, everybody that was close to me, are you going to take some time off? You need to recover. You know, it's been hard. And I'm like, recover from what?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I didn't win. It's been hard work. I lost some weight. I'm going back to work. I got things to do.
You're ahead.
Yeah. Like
you lost some weight. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've done well. It's a weight loss program. So much for Jenny Craig, right? I just, sign up for a campaign.
That's why there was 29 people.
Exactly. Exactly. So I said to Cheryl, I said, hey, January, New Year's Day, I'm taking off. And she said, oh, what do you got planned? I said, I'm just going to go for a drive. And she goes, how long of a drive? And I said, I don't know, but I'm taking my passport. And she said, okay, sounds good. And so I hopped in the truck. I ended up in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I drove to Mexico and built some homes in
Cool.
Mexico. I've done that for years.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't been able to do that for a couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I went down there. I phoned down to the group I'm normally down there with and said, hey, I'm looking to volunteer. Put me to work in the kitchen.
Awesome.
Cleaning rooms, whatever you want me to do. And they said, well, we're actually building some homes. So I spent 3 days in Mexico, built some homes, came up the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I was gone for about 2 weeks. And so it was great.
Yeah.
Did some business meetings in the Bay Area and arrived back and then turned around, a couple of weeks later, went down to Palm Springs for a couple of weeks and heading to, Kelowna this week for a little bit of getaway and Mexico in May and Europe in the fall. So
sounds good.
2022 for me.
Europe. I wouldn't go there.
Yeah. 2022 for me is going to be a really good year in the sense that I've never been able to travel the amount I'm going to travel.
Yeah.
And, it sounds a little corny, but, kind of find myself, right? Find the new Brad because, 35, 40 years of what I've been doing, then ending it with a campaign. Yeah. So I'm going to take 2022 to get my head straight on what's next for the next 20, 25 years of my working career. And then go from there. So I'll get busy in the fall and be up and running in something.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Most people would be quite jealous of that flexibility.
Yeah.
So you've done well.
I've done well and happy with some success. And people keep saying, are you going to retire? I'm like, I'm 55.
Yeah.
I'm not retiring. Not interested in retiring. I need purpose in life. But having a year, 8, 10, 12 months of kind of taking it easy in the sense that I still go into the office every day, but I'm getting healthier. I'm getting back into the gym.
Good.
Working on my golf game a little bit. So kind of doing some stuff that I haven't been able to do for decades. Yeah. So super excited about it.
That's good. Yeah, it's nice to be able to maybe slow down or find purpose or whatever it is.
Yeah. And for me, business wise, I'm going to do something totally different, different industry sector. And I'm going to definitely do a green startup. People ask me about my, businesses and what sector I want to be in. I said, something's totally new, green startup. I don't want to buy someone else's baggage. Yeah. Right? Like if I'm going to create baggage, I want it to be my baggage. Yeah. I hate dealing with other people's baggage. So for me, I'm going to build something from the ground up and be a part of something new and something kind of like a culmination of the last 35 years of being in business. Let's bring the good, bad together and create something special. So
that's cool. Yeah. We should talk to Danielle Smith.
Yeah.
She has great ideas. She's got a great head on her.
I've always respected Danielle, and we did a couple lunches during the campaign, and we spoke. And she actually was on the campaign trail with me, supported me in a Facebook Live event.
Oh, nice!
And so that was nice. And but I've always respected her viewpoint and open-minded to other people's viewpoints. When she was on the radio, I think she did a fantastic job of presenting all the arguments. I don't know where it went wrong for her. Not that it was her, but I don't know where the disconnect came, where all of a sudden she wasn't being valued.
You should never speak about what other people's thoughts were.
Yeah.
But anyways, what she told me was just that she kind of saw what was coming with the way the world deals with Twitter and just it was so easy to just take a run at somebody for no reason. And then, especially in talk radio, I think you put yourself on the edge all the time because that's entertaining.
Right.
And she just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
She just saw it coming down the pipe. But so now I think she's more engaged in, good, valuable, useful things.
Yeah.
And not at so much personal risk of attacks, I guess. So
yeah,
maybe,
and I think,
could be wrong.
Yeah, and I think she, she got a little bit of a, I don't want to say a raw deal when she was in politics, but maybe she made some missteps. I don't know. I won't even pass it on because I honestly don't know. But that was tough on her. I understand that, and because it was tough on me just campaigning. I actually never won. I was never in office, and it was tough. So I can only imagine while you're in office and so forth. So she's a person that I have nothing but time for.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I have. So I look forward to reconnecting with her too as well, and having maybe a lunch or something like that.
Yeah, she's really great. So it would have been interesting. Like, it's tough to rewind politics, of course, but that would be. She would have been actually really great in some great role. But.
Yeah. There's definitely a capacity for someone like Danielle.
Yeah,
she's she again. I look at her. She's savvy, but I believe that if she goes back into politics, and that's an if, I don't know, that she's doing it for the right reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Like, her values are good, right?
Yeah,
and that's how I felt about myself, too. I was there, I felt for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And so, I would definitely look forward to hearing from her on that front, too, as well.
Yeah.
So
she had a pretty good connection to Preston Manning, too.
Oh, okay, interesting.
She was pretty connected to him. Yeah. She had a pretty long, I don't know if we call it a video podcast or something, but because Preston wrote a book, and and it was she did a long interview with him, and it was good, really, really good stuff.
That's awesome. I have nothing but time for it. So we'll see where that takes us. And for me, I'm just excited about the future for myself and my family, but Calgary, right? I still, even though I'm not at the helm, I'm still real excited about the opportunities for Calgary. And there's lots of people that are volunteering their time, business owner operators, social committees, and so forth, that people are putting their time into Calgary because they're as passionate about Calgary. And so that's exciting to see that Calgarians as a whole are coming together to help guide city council and help out where we can. So that's super exciting.
Yeah, when it's important too is you have this young group of people coming up through the system, and like, if there isn't a great reason to be here,
right?
They're so mobile.
Yeah.
Wow, they just out they go.
Well, I heard some good stories about post-secondary education here in the city of Calgary, that a lot of the main U of C and MRE and so forth have committed, maybe I'll use that term loosely, have intent to potentially move some campus space into the downtown core.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Really cool, right? Bow Valley out towards East Village there has got 2 campuses. So that'd be super exciting about repopulating downtown core with that next generation.
That makes sense. We have transportation, central. Yeah. That makes sense.
And the other thing I'm super excited, the Green Line, honestly, I haven't followed it. I don't know whether we're building it or we're not building it. I have no idea. But what I'm super excited about, and I brought it up during the campaign, was the train from YYC through downtown to Banff. And my understanding is that we're inching ever so close to getting that built. And I think that's a game changer for the city of Calgary and Southern Alberta, for that matter. Yeah, super excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, I think, I thought someone had said that Calgary is one of the few major cities that doesn't have a train from downtown to the airport.
Yeah, it's in Canada. Once Montreal's rail link is done, Calgary will be the only major city in Canada that doesn't have link from their airport to downtown. So we need to get that built, right? Like that's there's the LRT line that we need to get built to downtown, but there's also that heavy rail, which is the rail that'll take us out to Banff too as well. Yeah. So that's super exciting for Southern Alberta, and especially Calgary. That's a game changer financially. The tourist economy, the dollars that would stay in the city of Calgary that right now are bypassing the city of Calgary for sure. Yeah,
I feel like there's a big opportunity there for, I don't know if it's Tourism Calgary. Is there a Tourism Calgary?
Yeah.
There's Tourism Alberta, of course.
Tourism, for sure.
Yeah. There's a big opportunity there to
and start coming together as departments, for lack of a better description, and making sure that we get that out to the world. Yeah. Right? Because if we were, and I said this on the campaign trail, and it's so important, it bears repeating, if we were to connect YYC through downtown to Banff, we would be the only destination in North America that would connect from their international airport to the major center downtown out to a world-class tourist destination. Only one in North America. No one else has it. So that's a big deal, right? And, again, I go back to stats, 1.3 million people, unique visitors to Calgary every year that don't see the city of Calgary. They bypass either by tour bus
Jump on a bus,
or a rental car.
Wow.
So if you're to garner 20-30% of that 1.3 million and funnel them through downtown for a hotel stay, a meal, see the sights and so forth, that's a massive economic return.
So what's the barrier in that project? Is it just money or planning?
It's partnership and so forth. Who's funding it? I believe, don't quote me, I believe it's going to be a private government partnership situation. The exciting part about it is that because they're going to use the existing CP rail corridor.
Oh, cool.
Because CP built Western Canada, or built Canada, they're grandfathered.
Wow. So that's space is already there.
The space is there. They don't have to worry about asking permissions and so forth. I mean, they're going to have to go through some regulatory issues, but for the most part, my understanding of the project, if everybody signed on the dotted line today, 18 months done.
Wow.
At a fraction of the cost. My understanding is that heavy rail is 1/20th of the cost of light rail.
Wow.
Because you're just tracks.
Yeah.
Opposed to light rail, you're talking infrastructure, power, overhead lines, stations and blah, 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 right? You're talking just tracks. And then I also heard rumor, half confirmed, that CP rail is already converting diesel locomotives to hydrogen fuel cell.
No way.
So now you've got a program that's a green initiative as well too. So now you're talking a passenger train that's green running from Banff. So major impact. You're taking more vehicles off the road.
Yeah.
You're doing it on a green train. You're funneling people through downtown. You've got multiple stops. So you've got downtown, you've got Cochrane, you've got Morley, you've got Canmore, you've got multiple stops along the way. You're talking employment. So now people that want to work in Banff that can't afford to live in Banff can literally live in Calgary or Cochrane and commute to work every day. Wow. Take the train to work.
That's crazy, actually.
Like, isn't that crazy? Yeah. So it has a massive impact on southern Alberta employment, economy, tourism dollars. Like, it's a game changer. So my gut is, if I was a betting man, I'd bet money it's going to get built and get built fairly quickly.
Huh. Yeah. That's pretty cool, actually. And anyone who's ever had to come back from Banff to Calgary on Sunday afternoon, God, that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean,
dead stopped for an hour.
And you're literally, and maybe go to the extreme, but you're saving lives too. Less people on the road, less chance of collisions, so on and so. So it just makes sense on so many fronts.
Saving wildlife.
Saving wildlife.
Go with that one now.
You can do that too as well. But then some of the environmentalists, we kill a lot of animals with the trains these days too as well. That's so there's always a balance. But that's a game changer project, and I would say arguably maybe even more impactful than the arena economically.
Yeah. Because it would bring people from outside to here rather than just people here. Yeah,
staying here and moving around, right? So I'm excited about both projects, obviously, but I would say if I had to pick one or the other, only one on the table, I'd actually pick the train. And I'm a Calgary Flames fan, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking at direct impact economically, jobs, and so on and so forth, the train's pretty important. Yeah, it's a big deal. So, I mean, I may get thrown under the bus, the proverbial bus for this, but I want them both built, and I think we'll get them both built. But if you're forcing me to make that decision, God, that train's pretty good for Calgary.
I'm secretly designing the new roof that goes over 8th Avenue, like Fremont Street. That's my plan.
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. I was in Vegas at that time because I had an operation in Vegas. I was in Vegas when Frank Sinatra died.
Oh, wow.
So first time in history, Vegas shut off their lights for 1 minute. Wow. And it was kind of eerie, kind of emotional, but kind of eerie. I was actually on Fremont Street when they shut the lights off in Vegas in honor of Frank Sinatra. And so that was pretty cool. And so Fremont Street's, it's pretty energized, right? And wouldn't you like to see that in the city of Calgary?
Yeah. And it's like, we have a barrier because it's stinking cold here so much. So like you just cover that thing up, you're going to be better off. Yeah. So, I don't know.
But you know what, happen. I think, you'll think of, and I forget what it's called, is it the rooftop bar here in Calgary that's built on the rooftop of one of the office buildings here, and it's outdoor, but it's done with sea cans and outbuildings. Yeah, and it's good for,
I can't remember.
It's good for minus 20.
Wow.
Where you can still, and I've been there twice now, and it's a great vibe. I think it's called the rooftop. Don't quote me on that, but it's awesome. So, maybe we could figure out a way we could heat parts of 8th Avenue.
I don't know. That's the tough part. Calgary's got it bad with the cold weather. It's a tough one.
It's not going anywhere.
No.
But yet we still love Calgary. So what is it about 40 below weather and we still love the city of Calgary?
I think we have to romanticize somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
that's what it is. But.
Yeah, we hope for better days. We hope spring's coming. I mean, look at our spring so far, other than the snow last night.
Yeah.
Typical. But I mean, everybody's talking, while I'm taking off my snow tires. I said, how long have you been in Calgary? Like, I'm pretty sure you've been here for decades.
Yeah.
We get snow in May.
In May.
Why would you talk about getting your snow tires removed?
Dude, that's so far away. It's not even April yet. It's still like we're 6 weeks of snow still.
Oh, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a good
like
spring
literally
so far.
6 weeks of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking of taking mine off, but no, you just changed my mind on that one.
Exactly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's all good.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you coming.
Well, I'm busy.
We got to do this more.
Yeah.
So. Hey, you're not that busy right now. I guess
I'm not as busy. I'm busy I'm as busy as I want to be right now, and busy up in the gray matter right now, thinking about what's next, what's my next adventure, and but it's always a pleasure to be here, and thanks for the invite back. And
have to have you around, see what the next big thing is.
Well, maybe once I decide, you can invite me back, and we can talk about what's going on, and maybe we're closer to the arena deal. Maybe we've got a train on the way, and
I got spare time. We'll come help you.
Yeah,
whatever you're doing, we'll go do it together.
Perfect. Look forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to see you.
All right, my
Glad
friend.
You can come.
Yeah,
all right.
Good seeing you.
See ya.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Hey, this is Craig. Thanks for watching this episode. I have a number of really interesting people that I'm going to be speaking with over the next while. Don't miss an episode. They're going to be great. If you have a chance, jump over to the partnerstaffing.com website. All the links to the videos that we're doing that are employment related will be there. Anyways, hit subscribe. Special thanks to our editor, Chris Filosovich. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Craig out.